Well, the federal government, I'm going to cover this coming up in the next segment, says 22s are terrorists. Got to turn those in. Everything's a terrorist action. Founding fathers are terrorists. Freedom's terrorism. Everything's terrorism. We should just believe the government no matter what they say. Well, not me. By the way, you hear that song, Call Me? We're going to open the phones up on any issue you wish to discuss here today. I'm a little bit better mood today. Had a family medical emergency over the weekend that's got me in a very, very bad mood still, to a certain extent. I'm not complaining or telling you my business for no reason. That's just why I've been a little bit irritable, a little bit darker than normal on air. But I am moving forward in a better mood right now. But the toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. And we just had John McAfee on, who said he's going to call us. He said he can't keep this up forever. I think he said that on air, too, but off air he said he can't keep hiding out from him forever. In fact, I should have asked him about that, about any close calls he's had. I asked him about it off air. He said he has, and I always think of the best questions after somebody's gone. But there is that interview, and that will certainly be a news maker right there, which is not our only goal. You know, just making the news on some petty issue really has no thrill. I've been thinking about this, and I hope this infects you as well. That's why I'm telling you the story. I really like promoting freedom. I really like getting the word out about the Second Amendment. I like getting the word out about the Constitution. I like defending private property. I like defending the family. And I like kicking corrupt, leech-like bureaucrats out of government. I mean, that's why I do this. That's why I'm on the air. And that's why I don't get a thrill going on some national television show to talk about some issue that doesn't matter. In fact, I refuse to do it all the time. I've been invited on entertainment shows and stuff and said no, because it has no thrill. But it is thrilling to have prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com and to be able to reach millions of people every day. It is thrilling to be up at the top of drudgereport.com right now, which is the biggest news website in the world and can really set the agenda, and the establishment does not like that. That is a big thrill. It is thrilling to be able to be on air and expose the TSA and catch them in a long train of lies. It is thrilling to engage these people. Now, let me hit a little bit of news now. When we come back from break, I'll go to your calls and then more news. Investigation, this is out of WSB-TV. Investigation shows TSA pat-down incident, not first complaint against those very screeners, pulling the Texas state legislature's members' nieces' dress completely off of her, the 17-year-old. And it turns out that that's happened to a lot of women. Yeah, they also have guys sometimes who could never get a woman, but they see a real, well, they settled a case 2 years ago in Texas. Was it Amarillo, where it was a very reportedly bombshell woman. She was never on the news. They described her as a very attractive blonde with large bosoms, or bosom. And they pulled her shirt off and then began grabbing her breast, and then she began crying, and the three men stood around her, and one of them asked her for a date and said, "Sorry, we have to do this. By the way, you're really good looking. Can I have a date?" And I think I conflate two cases in Texas, but in one of them, they had to settle the case and admitted to it. And you're like, but that doesn't sound normal. I mean, when I was a single guy, I wouldn't walk up to, you know, some woman and try to dominate them. I would go up and be charming to them and say, by the way, I just think you're a knockout. You know, you want to go out and get dinner and go see a movie? And so many times, you know, I was successful. But I mean, I cannot just imagine trying to force yourself on people. But those of us that are normal, we have to understand, Janet Napolitano had to settle the cases with her, reportedly with her and her deputies, sexually harassing men to the level, and it wasn't about men, it was about dominating men, and putting their stuff in the bathroom and telling them perform sex acts. And you know what? They settled those cases. And you read those lawsuits, and it's like, I can't even say the stuff they reportedly did, which they settled over. But when you know how those type of people operate, that's I mean, look at them. Who wants to, have you seen the women that run the Justice Department? I mean, obviously, they're angry about life, and they've never had a good sexual relationship, and so they don't understand it's all about love. It's all about consent. They don't understand that's the fun part, is the whole consent part. They want to go dominate, and that's what's going on. So I got a big stack of them abusing people. Sick of the globalist eugenicist control freaks adding poison to your water and laughing as you get sick and die? Start purifying your water with ProPure. My friends, I've done a lot of research, and the best gravity filter out there, bar none, is ProPure, and it's available discounted at Infowars.com. Its filters are silver impregnated to prevent bacterial growth. There's no priming required. It's NSF 42 certified. Optional fluoride filters can reduce fluoride up to 95%. Easy to set up and use. Doesn't require electricity. Purify water from lakes, streams, ponds, and wells. This filter system leaves in beneficial minerals, which is key. Save money by not buying bottled water and avoid BPA that leaches from the plastic. ProPure is the best gravity-fed filter out there. It's what my family uses. Infowars.com already has the lowest price on ProPure. But if you add the promo code WATER at checkout, you get an additional 10% off at Infowars.com. You can also call to order 888-253-3139. We are back. We're going to go to your phone calls here in about 60 seconds. I've done 2.5 hours of radio and haven't plugged a stinking thing. And not only does it finance what we do here, the plugs, it also gets the word out. And you can get 12 issues of InfoWars magazine delivered to your door, shipping included for $59.95, and half of that's the shipping. That is at cost. So this is an outreach we're doing for yourself to read it and then give it to friends and family or folks at work, or to give a gift subscription to your local library, your police department, your state house, your county commissioners, members of the U.S. Senate, whatever. 12 big color magazines, now up over 60 pages, full of incredible graphics, crossword puzzles, political illustrations. I'm really proud of the publication covering cutting-edge issues each month. And we've got Ron Paul's full going away speech coming up in the December issue that we're going to put on sale in about 3 days. And whenever there's back issues, when supplies last, we put a couple back issues in your first subscription. Sometimes you get more than 12. But the point is that's all available at InfoWarsStore.com, or you can call 888-253-3139. And you can give a subscription to your friends and family, and you're done. You can give PrisonPlanet.tv subscriptions as well. You get InfoWars Nightly News. You get all my films, my book, Paul Watson's book, dozens of other films, the daily 3-hour radio show, the nightly news, 7 o'clock every night, the archives of it. And PrisonPlanet.tv has been around 9.5 years. Well, now more than 9.5 years. It'll be 10 years in April. But the point is, it's got 17 years of material on there. It's got a lot of my original stuff on there. And before, it had a few glitches and things over the years. Now it's first rate. I mean, it is incredible bandwidth, incredible. It takes a minute to sign up. And we need to get banners up explaining this. You get a membership for $5.95 a month. You can get a yearly and get it even less. But sign up for a month, you get 10 memberships. That's 59 cents a month. Because we calculated it, that's right at, if people actually use it, we'll lose money. But I'm figuring some people will use it if you give out, 10 username passcodes. You create a username and passcode. We're going to put a thing up there explaining this to people that obviously isn't your other username and passcodes for other stuff. Just create simple name and simple passcode, and then send it as an e-gift. We're even going to create little e-cards on there that you can also sample, click off the site, and say, here is your username passcode. This is a site with films and video of the daily radio show and the nightly show, and you just put the username passcode in, and bam, it's all there. Films, books. I mean, it's really massive now. PrisonPlanet.tv. And the site is a huge success, and it's financing so much of what we do. But I'm thinking, you know what? Why not just make it 10 memberships? Now that we can handle the bandwidth, now that we found cheaper sources of quality bandwidth, we got the stuff up there uploaded in HD now. I mean, it's all there, PrisonPlanet.tv. And it's our answer to the YouTube censorship and all the rest of it. So PrisonPlanet.tv or InfoWarsNews.com, that will also take you there. If you think it scares your family to say, here's your PrisonPlanet.tv membership, we're kind of segueing towards calling it InfoWars News. And so that's InfoWarsNews.com. And you can send it to them and get folks to tune in and say, hey, 7 o'clock tonight, watch this nightly news show. And it's world-class guests. And we just had the British Ron Paul on, and we had Lord Monckton on before that, Nigel Farage. We had John McAfee, whose first interview I know of, other than text interviews, boom, our show. Because his advisors told him, come on here. So, hey, he's on the show. And I checked his voice, checked the numbers, checked with some people. That's him. That's definitely the guy. And it's just exciting. Joe Rogan will be on Thursday. And you're just going to hear teleprompter free, because even mainline radio, a lot of that is, guys are following talking points. They repeat the same stuff over and over again. That is not going to beat the globalist. I mean, I'll just tell you right now, I would love other people to understand what I understand. It isn't that hard to understand. If you know history, you get all this info. John in Wyoming, you're on the air.
Yeah, Alex, I've got two quick things to bring out. I just got, a couple of weeks ago, my latest copy of the 2012 annual report for the CFR. And not only is General David Petraeus and General John R. Allen a member of the CFR, so is Paula D. Broadwell.
No, wait a minute. Petraeus is a CFR fellow. He went to a college course they give and to kneel to Sauron. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, they have all three of them listed as members of the CFR. And another thing I've got, you like to have some interesting bumper music when you're going into and out of a broadcast. I've got two suggestions. One is from that wonderful 1979 Al Pacino movie, Injustice for All. At the very end, when they're rolling the closing credits, there's a song called There's Something Funny Going On. And listen to that song in its entirety. It is dynamite.
No, I agree, but I interrupted you. Go back to this lady you're talking about in the Council on Foreign Relations.
Yeah, Paula D. Broadwell. She is one of the members. She was the one involved in that three-way operation, you might say, with Petraeus and with General Allen. And
how obvious is it with those women? I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, the whole point is, how did they meet? That's one thing that the mainstream media isn't talking about, is how they met.
Well, you've also got the twins visiting the White House quite a bit.
And Chelsea Clinton, who just signed on as a roving reporter earlier this year for NBC Nightly News, has just signed on for a 5-year membership with the CFR.
To learn how to be a good, aging, globalist fossil. What a traitorous group openly against this country.
Oh, yeah. Now, anyway, go to Al Pacino's movie, Injustice for All, and get a hold of the theme song that they roll at the closing credits called There's Something Funny Going On. And there's another good song from 1953. Comedian Red Buttons had a song called Strange Things Are Happening.
Red Buttons, okay.
Another one you want to listen to.
Maybe we should go out with Red Buttons, Strange Things Are Happening. I bet it's on YouTube, guys. Thank you. If that's any good, we'll play that. Thank you so much, John. I'm sure it is good. You're a great listener and great patriot, and we always enjoy hearing from you. Recognize that guy's voice. He calls in a few times a year. Adrian in the great state of Texas. Go ahead, Adrian.
Hi, I'm calling from El Paso, Texas. Here, the epicenter of the drug war and Obama's Fast and Furious. And I had a question. On the 2012 issue, I was wondering what good does it do to prepare if we ignore the hyper-advanced, sophisticated astronomy of the Mayans?
Well, I do know the Mayans did have pretty advanced. For their time, they knew about stars that weren't even really visible, we believe, with telescopes. We don't know how they did that. But then they also had some pretty backward stuff with the human sacrifice and things going on. But the priest class always ends up degenerating down that road. But I don't think the world's going to end. I did a whole show on that. What was it, yesterday, or was it last? It was yesterday. I talked quite a bit about the fact that I think it's a hoax. Because, even the Mayans didn't say the world was going to end December 21st.
Well, basically, they said it was the end of the fifth age, and this is the end of the fifth age. And what basically the theory is that every age it's ended in cataclysm, and a pole shift is imminent. And also, why would the government start building huge underground bases in Denver
Well, because we know why. Because it's all designed around a Russian or Chinese nuclear attack, because they're busy rolling weapon systems in and around Russia and China and trying to pick a nuclear war with them. Joel Skousen breaks that down in the new film, Strategic Relocation.
Right. Well, in my opinion, real strategic relocation right now, I mean, 23 days away from the actual pole shift, if you believe in it. Right now, I would relocate away from the coastal
I know. There's people that say there's going to be water all the way up to the Rocky Mountains, up to Denver. And I just, you know what? I'm staying right here. And I bet you money I'm going to be on air December 21st, December 22nd. Normally, I would take off that entire week because I've promised my wife. There's always some reason I end up working in and around holidays. But my children are growing up, and I'm hardly knowing them some of the time. But I'm going to end up doing the 21st, 22nd, probably even the 23rd, because I'm going to predict now, when the world doesn't end December 21st, people are going to say, the calculations, you heard it here first, are that the Gregorian calendar was off 3 days. It's now the 24th. We're all dead on the 24th. Run for the hills. And then when that doesn't happen, it was off a week. And so there'll be months of imminent destruction. Meanwhile, they're putting cancer viruses in the vaccines. Meanwhile, they're killing us. And diabetes is up 3,000%. Cancer almost 3,000%. Pediatric cancer 10,000%. Breast cancer leading the world. Total police state, new world order takeover. But it's always just something over the hill. And look, Adrian, I'm not saying you're bad to think maybe this is coming. Maybe it is. Maybe we're all dead. So what are you going to do in your last 23 days before poles shift and, mountains being thrust up 10,000 feet and liquid magma spewing out and Keebler elves running around vampirically drinking blood, dogs and cats living together, possums flapping with pink wings? What are you going to do?
Well, the actual prediction is that the 9 gods with lowercase g would return, including Kukulkan Khan. And, there's a lot of things we don't know about their history.
That scares the...
Actually, their Mayan calendar there, the way they used to... the Mayan... year was actually more accurate than the atomic clock.
I understand that. So listen, let me just ask you this question. So if it's not the 21st, are you going to call me back on the 22nd?
I am. Actually, I wanted to know if you're going to do an end of the world show and go down with the ship with us, And
yeah, like Woody Harrelson at the end of 2012 when everybody's dying, he's like reporting as the fireballs come towards him. All right, I appreciate you joining us, sir. Thank you. I just, what? There could be an end of world if the unexpected data from Large Hadron Collider suggests the collision may be producing a new type of matter, and they go on in physics.com. It's admitted that a lot of physicists say it could destroy the Earth with strangelets and other things it can create. If you don't know what a strangelet is, have you seen the newest Star Trek? I'm not really a Star Trek fan because it's so ridiculous. I mean, I like the old Star Trek because it's so funny. I actually kind of like Captain Kirk. Let's be honest. I kind of worship Captain Kirk a little bit sometimes, and it's not right because it's so cheesy. But the kind of newer stuff takes itself too seriously, so it's just cheesiness that takes itself serious, not funny. Cheesiness that doesn't take itself serious, very funny, especially when Captain Kirk, a.k.a. William Shatner, covers it. But the new one is very accurate, where they have that antimatter strangelet and they put it in the center of Vulcan and it sucks in. That's actually what it would look like. If they create one of these particles, it will fall to the center of the Earth. And depending on the type of particle size or what it does, it may take a minute, it may take a week. It'll start doubling in size and pulling matter into it. A black hole will form. And then by the time we notice an earthquake, we'll be gone like that. And then the globalists will, won't get to act trendy anymore and go to events and give each other awards and act powerful. So that wouldn't be very much fun, would it? Who's up next here? Tim in Washington, you're on the air. Go ahead.
How's it going, Alex?
Pretty good, sir.
I've been wargaming in my mind to figure out what would happen if stuff really did hit the fan. And I was kind of curious, is there a sheriff or is there a precedent in America where local citizens, everyday citizens without training could be deputized to fight back, say, a UN invasion?
Yeah, it's called civil defense, which is based under the militia, and we had to delay you because you used some profanity there. We didn't edit that guy, but we had to cut out a few seconds because what he said. And yeah, there's basically your answer. I mean, just educate the people on the subject of liberty, and tyranny will vanish like phantoms at dawn. Thomas Jefferson. Bill in Wisconsin, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
Intriguing interview with John McAfee.
Yeah, what'd you think of that?
A U.S. citizen. Yeah, if he's still a U.S. citizen, has he, for this latest alleged murder, why hasn't he gone to the U.S. consulate or asked the U.S. government for intervention?
I don't know if he can get there. He's pretty much hiding out in the woods, running around from house to house. But I don't know the details of it, but that's what he's basically described on his blog. But I should have asked him that question. That's a good question.
Yes, absolutely. And that's all I had.
I mean, he probably doesn't trust the U.S. consulate. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. The government down there is corrupt, but we have a corrupt one up here,
Let me ask you this question. What do you think about him? I mean, he's obviously eccentric, but, I mean, do you think he did it?
No, he's totally telling the truth. I believe that. And later on, I'm going to run that audio of that interview on our layered voice analysis technology, and I'm going to prove that he's telling the truth.
Look at this headline by Kurt Nimmo up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. FERC chairman dubs 22 rifles terrorist weapons. That's right. The chairman of the U.S. Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has provided aspiring terrorists with an idea. Use a .22 rifle to take out power transformers. And that's John Wellinghoff at the Bloomberg government breakfast in Washington. I don't think we have the level of physical security we need. And he goes, all al-Qaeda miscreant, you mean people that work for the globalist, could get 200 yards away with a 20 rifle, could take down the power grid. Oh, so hype that up. Well, we got to take guns because they could bring down the power grid with them. Mr. Wellington did not provide any explanation of why over the last decade the terrorist group has not targeted the power grid of the United States. Maybe because it's totally manufactured and too busy taking down governments for the globalist. But he has now created the anti-gun scare with the Bloomberg breakfast, calling for needed solutions to be introduced, which goes on the link calling for restrictions to the Second Amendment. That's kind of a pure news article Kurt wrote. He might want to, Kurt's in there, he's right through the hall, right through that door. We might want to add something that the solutions are going after those evil guns, because that's what they say there. Yeah, so, you know, the terrorists, they're everywhere. We've got to do something right now. Now, I mentioned this earlier. I don't think that passing through the galactic plane, whether that's true or not, or, you know, any of this stuff, or the winged serpent that they had to sacrifice, you know, little kids to, or, you know, the sun wouldn't come back. I just really don't put much stock in what the Mayans say. And I've been attacked a lot for not thinking the world's going to end December 21st. But I will be here live on that Friday, and I will be live that Sunday. Because still we'll be hearing, of course, that it's still the end of the world, and I just haven't recognized it yet. So we will be covering that ad nauseum. But if you go to Infowars.com, we can punch up my screen. I'll show people this. Experts to study whether robots will exterminate humanity. And in the big university study that is taking place at Cambridge, they're mainly looking at extinction events from rise of the machines, because machines, their AI are being designed or they're building towards it from a military perspective. And so the concern here is that they'll be a military in nature and decide to just get rid of humanity. You know what? I don't see that as the greatest threat. I see globalist technocrats in control of automated ground, sea, and air drone robots will be able to attack humanity and run false flags and say people hacked the machines or run attacks themselves, and it won't be a military refusing gun confiscation because the robots won't say no. And again, if you go to this article that's up at Infowars.com, I would say the big threat is Hadron Superconducting Supercollider, because they admit that it is a possibility it could cause things a lot bigger than large hydrogen explosions. And the government's admission of developing antimatter weapons, which remain classified, but they admit they've developed, and also bioweapons and things like that. I think that's some of the biggest threats we face. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want. About any close calls he's had, I asked him about it off air. He said he has, and I always think of the best questions after somebody's gone. But there is that interview, and that will certainly be a news maker right there, which is not our only goal. You know, just making the news on some petty issue really has no thrill. I've been thinking about this, and I hope this infects you as well. That's why I'm telling you the story. I really like promoting freedom. I really like getting the word out about the Second Amendment. I like getting the word out about the Constitution. I like defending private property. I like defending the family. And I like kicking corrupt, thrilling to be able to be on air and expose the TSA and catch them in a long train of lies. It is thrilling to engage these people. Now, let me hit a little bit of news now. When we come back from break, I'll go to your calls and then more news. Investigation, this is out of WSB-TV. Investigation shows TSA pat-down incident, not first complaint against those very screeners, pulling the Texas state legislature's members' nieces dressed completely off of her, the 17-year-old. And it turns out that that's happened to a lot of women. Well, the federal government, I'm going to cover this coming up in the next segment, says 22s are terrorists. Got to turn those in. Everything's a terrorist action. Founding fathers are terrorists. Freedom's terrorism. Everything's terrorism. We should just believe the government no matter what they say. Well, not me. By the way, you hear that song, Call Me? We're going to open the phones up on any issue you wish to discuss here today. I'm a little bit better mood today. Had a family medical emergency over the weekend that's got me in a very, very bad mood still, to a certain extent. I'm not complaining or telling you my business for no reason. That's just why I've been a little bit irritable, a little bit darker than normal on air. But I am moving forward in a better mood right now. But the toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. And we just had John McAfee on who said he's going to call us. He said he can't keep this up forever. I think he said that on air, too, but off air he said he can't keep hiding out from him forever. In fact, I should have asked him about that. Each like bureaucrats out of government. I mean, that's why I do this. That's why I'm on the air. And that's why I don't get a thrill going on some national television show to talk about some issue that doesn't matter. In fact, I refuse to do it all the time. I've been invited on entertainment shows and stuff and said no, because it has no thrill. But it is thrilling to have prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com and to be able to reach millions of people every day. It is thrilling to be up at the top of drudgereport.com right now, which is the biggest news website in the world and can really set the agenda, and the establishment does not like that. That is a big thrill. It is